Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys and Magic. This is Hunter, Shane, Steven, and David. Say what up, boys.
Yo, what's going on?
Hello.
What's up, nerds?
We are back. This time, we are taking a look at the multicolored legendary creatures from March of the Machine. March of the Machines give us a lot of team-ups, so that's going to be interesting to see if these team-ups are actually good. Are they bad? Who knows? We'll find out right now. Let's start it off with the first card. This is Ayara, Widow of the Realm. Ayara, Widow of the Realm is 1 and 2 black for a 3/3 legendary creature, Elf Noble. As an ability, we can tap, sacrifice another creature or artifact, and it says Ayara, Widow of the Realm deals X damage to target opponent or battle, and you gain X life, where X is the sacrifice permanent's mana value. As another ability, we can pay 5 and a red Phyrexian, transform Ayara, activate only as a sorcery. When it is transformed, it turns into Ayara, Furnace Queen. It is a 4/4 legendary creature, Phyrexian Elf Noble, that says at the beginning of combat on your turn, return up to 1 target artifact or creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. Steven, I want to start with you. What do you think of Ayara?
I'm going to bring it back. You guys ready?
Ready.
Meh.
Whoa.
Meh. Why?
You explain yourself.
Listen, all right. It can't really do anything the turn it comes down. I don't like the fact that it costs 6 or 5 mana to transform it. I mean, the upside on it's really cool, and obviously you're doing Rakdos things by sacrificing your own shit. I don't know. It's just very mediocre. I've seen it before in Rakdos. I just feel like there's other cards that do it better, and you don't have to pay so much. The one redeeming thing about this card is the artwork.
That's the one redeeming thing.
Okay.
I think that this is pretty cool for 3. You can get it out and start doing the sacrifice shenanigans that you're going to be wanting to do in this deck. You're going to be able to do a bunch of damage, gain life. That's great. And then on the backside, the fact that it has the short-term recursion, you get the exile, which sucks, but all the things that are fueling it on the front half, then you get to be coming back on the back half. I don't think you'll have a problem flipping it, really. I get that it's sorcery speed, but like, this is going to be a Rakdos sacrifice deck that is going to do damage and gain life. That sounds pretty fun, dude.
Yeah, and there is ways to give it haste, being in red as well. You can throw anger into the graveyard. However, I will say if you do the anger route when you throw it in the graveyard, if you do flip this, it does not say you may return, so it's forcing you to return a creature card.
That's
So,
true.
Anger is going to die.
I'm waiting on David now.
I have one more thing to add. I did play a draft with this card in Arena, and let me tell you, it is quite the powerhouse because if that creature that you return dies, it goes back to the graveyard, doesn't get exiled. So you can just keep playing that over and over as long as it dies.
I think Hunter mentions a really important point there too. Like if you're playing a Rakdos sacrifice deck, you're probably going to have other means of sacrificing your creatures. So I'm not too worried about the exile clause on the back half of this card. Chances are you just sack it for like a Phyrexian Arena. I'm sorry, you sack it for like a Phyrexian Altar. And then it's back in the yard for you to be able to use the following turn.
Yeah.
All in all, though, I mean, like, I'm actually kind of probably closer in opinion with Steven on this one. This is a 3-mana commander that doesn't really do anything the turn that it drops. It's probably going to end up getting killed. It's very mana intensive. It's incredibly slow, and it telegraphs what you're going to be doing because it does require that you're setting up your graveyard. So your opponents are going to be incentivized to kill this whenever you, like, have things that are in your graveyard. And if you don't have anything in your graveyard, this card isn't doing anything. So I do look at this as like this is potentially like a really cool Rakdos fling style commander, but I don't actually think that she's that great at like recursion or sacrifice.
This is going to be a good video, boys. David and I have aligned.
Well, let's move on to the grades then. Steven, what are you giving this?
Give it a C, man.
I'll join you. This is a C from me as well.
I still think it's fun. I think it's a C. C is fun.
Steven and I are super in sync so far. I am also giving this a C.
We're all in
Wow.
sync.
Look at that. In sync.
Okay.
Ayara, Widow of the Realm gets an average grade of a C. Next up is Baral and Kari Zev. It is 1 a blue and a red for a 2/4 legendary creature, human. It's got first strike and menace, and says whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, you may cast a spell with lesser mana value that shares a card type with it from your hand without paying its mana cost. If you don't, create First Mate Ragavan, a legendary 2/1 red monkey pirate creature token. It gains haste until end of turn. It made Ragavan into nothing. No abilities.
Good.
I mean, wasn't that also the original Ragavan as well? The first time we saw the card, like, it was a token.
Was it?
I have not a clue.
Yeah, Kari Zev originally made your little monkey friend over there.
Well, the monkey friend has cool abilities now, so they took it away again.
That's fine.
What do we think of this as a card, though? Enough about the Ragavan.
I think this card is super powerful. It comes down early enough. Like, it's probably not going to be that great in combat, but I mean, the first strike and menace is still relevant there. And then, I don't know. I love being able to cheat things into play, and this is cheating instants and sorceries, so I think that that's fantastic. Plus, like, absolute worst case scenario, I guess you're making a monkey that you can still potentially swing in with.
You know what's better about this too, dude? It says your
What's
first
that?
instant or sorcery, not your first spell. Remember the last time David had a problem with that?
Yeah, the Rashmi and Ragavan. I
Yeah.
actually do really like this card.
Yeah.
It seems like a good card, Steven. What do you think?
I would like to agree with you. I think this is a great card. This comes down turn 3. Turn 4, you cast a spell that's, 4 mana, and then you can cast a free one for 3. I think this card has tons of upside. And if you don't, you get a 2-1. Like, I mean, I don't see. I know we used to joke around about it back in the day, but like, where's the bad?
I'll tell you where the bad is. My turn. I'm going to say, how often are you doing this, though?
How
Every
often are
turn.
you casting a spell?
Every turn? You think you're going to do this ability every turn?
Yes.
I think that, yeah, you can. I mean, your first spell there can be like some big splashy instant or sorcery, and then the second one is a draw spell. And it says at the beginning, or I'm sorry, it says each turn too. So like this works on your opponent's turns.
I understand that, but I don't see it working all the time.
You
mean,
are
you're
in blue
actually-
red.
Your hand is
Hold-
going to
hold
have
on,
lands
David.
and other creatures, right?
David, hold on. Slow down, David. You forget. This is in colors that definitely don't, help spell slinging. Calm down.
I was going to say this is the best color combination for
Yeah, I'm
having
being
a
extremely
max.
sarcastic.
Oh, I know. I picked up on your sarcasm. Like you and I are on the same page once again. Like you're never going to have a problem with card advantage in these colors, and like in a spellslinger deck, like you'll have 7 cards in your hand throughout the entirety of the game.
I just
I'm
disagree.
So that means if you cast the sorcery, it's got to be a sorcery. And
Yeah.
if you cast an instant, it's got to be an instant.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, shares a card type.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Hunter's just saying that hopefully you don't have any creatures backed up in your hand.
Or lands.
I mean,
Or
it'd be
lands.
really nuts if you built around the deck.
You're
I mean,
telling
even
me you're going to keep
A
this
spell slinger
one
EDH?
creature and just keep all spells?
yes.
You're not going to draw anything else.
I don't think that you really need to. I mean, like, look, there's a couple of Spellslinger decks that already exist within Izzet that play very low creature counts. And the creature counts that are in there, I mean, you're going to be playing with things like Young Pyromancer. You're going to be playing with, oh my goodness, what is the name of the Sky Summoner, the one that makes the 2/2 drakes? Like, all these creatures that make other creatures, whenever you cast instants and sorceries, that are going to gum up the board. So, like, I don't think that this is really going to be much of a problem for this deck. It's going to run a couple of creatures and a massive amount of instants and sorceries. Like, how much value and how great is it going to be to know that, like, you countered your opponent's thing, and then you, like, also happen to throw a brainstorm or something on top of that for free?
That'd be sick.
That'd be cool. Magical Christmas land.
Okay.
I mean,
We
you're
don't live
living
there.
in the opposite of Magical Christmas Land because you're just thinking that
Reality?
you're never going to have.
Right.
No, I'm not.
Let's move on to the grades. I'm giving this a C.
Wow.
I'm giving it a C as well.
Oh my God. Well, I'm going to go ahead and give this a B. I think this card is super good, comes down early, and can get you some fun things really good times ahead.
I don't know what you just said there, but I
I don't
love
either.
it.
I get you think good time had.
I think that this card does give you good times hand, or whatever you said.
Really
I'm
good
actually gonna,
times ahead.
Yeah, we heard you.
I'm actually going to give this card an A. I think as far as commanders go, I don't know. This is one of the more push ones in the set.
Wow.
Oh.
Well, the average grade is going to be a B. Next up is Borborygmos and Fblthp. It is 2, a green, a blue, and a red for a 6/5 legendary creature, Cyclops Humongulus. It says, whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, draw a card, then you may discard any number of land cards. When you discard one or more cards this way, Borborygmos and Fblthp deals twice that much damage to target creature. You can also pay 1 and a blue, put Borborygmos and Fblthp into its owner's library, third from the top. This is a very interesting card, Shane. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Is this going to be like a play land from the graveyard kind of deck? I'm not really sure what this card wants to do. 'Cause I'm not smart enough.
It's in the text.
Right. So you're discarding your lands.
Yes,
Sure.
and then replaying them.
So that's what I'm saying. Like that's it's just going to be land destruction.
You can
I don't see
build
land
this
destruction.
all sorts of ways, but I don't see land destruction here.
I would just say typically when you play lands from the graveyard, you're utilizing the land destruction. I don't know. I'm just trying.
It's 99 lands, dude.
And him? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You can't do 99 lands in this.
Why not?
Because when you discard those cards, you're dealing damage to target creatures. Now, if you're telling me, hey, let's go ahead and fucking deal some damage to opponents, I'm all about it.
True. David, what do you think?
I don't get it.
I think that you guys are possibly looking at this guy a little wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I know I am.
So to go ahead, and I hate to be the guy that like reads the card to explain what the card does, but like he's 5 mana for a 6/5, which is already like it's decent. He doesn't have any real relevant abilities on him. He's not getting in for like extra combat or anything like that. So like no first strike, no vigilance, no trample, anything relevant. But he does draw you a card on ETB. He draws you a card every time that he attacks. So like those are really relevant things. He's also in a wonderful color combination. I love the 3 colors on this card. And then like in the case that you do end up like casting him over and over and over again, like this is a card that you can abuse with things like Food Chain to be able to just draw out your entire deck and then just discard all of those lands to, I don't know, I guess kill one of your opponent's things or something like that. But like it helps you to draw into your combos if that's the route you want to go down. He's a really cheesy commander, and I think that he's just like a super oddball, and I'm probably never going to use that last ability where you can tuck him. But I don't think this is a commander that you can actually discount. Like if your opponent's playing this, you can't just like write him off of the table. I think this still actually does quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to completely agree with you, man. I think one of the cards that slots really well into this is an enchantment called Seismic Assault. You choose and discard a land card. Seismic Assault deals 2 damage to target creature or player. In this kind of style deck, I think, replaying lands from your graveyard or just going ahead and bringing them back to your hand with some other effects, I think is going to be really powerful. I will say I don't want to dismiss the tuck effect, because if someone's coming after the board, being able to just put this back up instead of having to recast this for, 7 mana or 9 mana, I think is pretty good.
I dismiss the tuck effect.
Yeah, but what happens if you shuffle? Yeah, dude.
It's okay. So then it just goes, I don't know. Find it.
Find it.
I mean, you are also in blue, and then green is really good whenever it comes to drawing cards too. So that tuck effect, putting it a third from the top, that may actually just be you draw it that same turn.
I hope so. You better be able to draw it at the same turn if you're going to do that. That's
Yeah.
Magical Christmas Land.
I don't know if I like this card at all. I get it, 5 mana for a 6/5, but that's kind of it. I mean, when you draw 1 card and then it deals damage to a creature. Not multiple. 1. That's all it does.
I don't know. All I'm saying is I've seen a couple of games with this card at the helm of a deck, and I think it's pretty good.
What was the win con?
Is this card doing good, or is it the cards around it?
You mean the other 99 cards? Yes. The cards around it definitely played into the deck. So yes, building around the commander was a good idea, I guess. Yeah.
I love Steven's point here, and I'm going to argue with Steven on this one too. Like, this is not the win condition. This is going to help you find the win condition.
Well, that's what I was asking. I was like, what was the win condition?
Whatever you want. I mean, this is a commander that's just going to like dig for your combo.
So it's just like a shell.
Is it really digging, David?
Anytime this dude ETBs, you draw a card. So if you food chain combo off, you'll draw your entire deck.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. So it's just like a shell. And then you insert how you win in the shell.
Yeah.
Isn't that every commander?
No.
I mean, it's the basic premise of just like a combo deck. It's like, this is the card that finds your combo.
Well, let's move on to the grades. David, what are you giving this combo card?
I'm going to give it a C. I think he's a little bit clunky and a little bit odd. I do like this card, though, and I could see him seeing some decent play.
I've been low on these cards so far, and I'm sticking with it. I'm giving this a D.
Ooh. I'm going to give it a C as well.
Looks like that grade's going to go to the higher grade because it's a C, baby.
The average grade for Borborygmos and Fblthp is a C. Next up is Djeru and Hazoret. It is 2 red, and a white for a 5/4 legendary creature human god. It says as long as you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, Djeru and Hazoret has vigilance and haste. And whenever Djeru and Hazoret attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may exile a legendary creature card from among them. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Until end of turn, you may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost.
I'm going to say the part where I think free spells are good.
Free spells are good, huh?
Yeah. They're never not good, Hunter. Never not good.
Yeah, free spells are always great. I love free spells.
So I think this could be fun. We get to dig 6. That's relevant. Hopefully hit something cool.
I completely agree.
No way.
Yeah, free spells are good, dude. You just said it. Isn't that right, David?
It's a Boros card with a combat trigger. Hunter loves this shit.
That's why I
live
wanted to
for
say
this. Yeah, man. Hazoret's alive. Look at him.
It's a her.
it. Ooh.
Yeah,
Shut up.
Hazoret's alive. That's what I said. Look at her.
Anyways, Hunter, do you like this ability?
I do. I don't know if I like the first ability because having 1 or fewer cards at hand, you really have to throw your whole hand out. And
Yeah,
I get it. You're going to be attacking and just playing things from exile, so you're going to kind of build this around playing things from exile.
You're going to be hellbent and heckbent, like David says.
It's heck bent, yeah.
Heck bent. Steven, what do you think of this card?
Meh.
Now you have to explain your reasoning.
You can't love them all, Hunter. That's why.
Yeah, I can't love them all, man. Reason, that's the reason. All right, move on to the next one. No, I mean, this card, it's fine. I mean, I think we just kind of, they released a precon that I think would be better suited for this kind of color scheme. I mean, Dihada was, Mardu rather than Boros, but I'd rather play like Dihada if I want to care about legendary shit.
I don't know, man. That's a powerful effect to dig 6 and play something for free.
Yeah, and hopefully you have
Sure.
vigilance so it doesn't tap.
And then with Dihada, I can just minus and then search for a legendary, and then the cards I don't get, I can put them in my graveyard and I get treasures for them instead. And then I can use those treasures to reanimate shit with the extra color.
Look, I don't want to compare this to another legendary creature. I understand that yes, there's other strategies and cards out there that do that same kind of thing, but I mean that you could argue that for every card. Looking at this card just on its own, it probably is going to do nothing the turn that it comes down. It's 5 mana to start, so it's probably going to get outclassed in terms of mana relatively quickly. This is a card that needs to be able to swing to do anything relevant, and sure, it can kind of sometimes maybe have haste, which is cool. But even after all of that, there's a whiff potential on this. And most of the creatures that we see that have these kinds of effects, say like the other creature enters the battlefield tapped and attacking, this one doesn't. You just get to cast it without paying for it. So this is just like, it is a Boros Reanimator target, and it's only for legendary creatures. I don't know how high I am on this card.
Hopefully by turn 5 you'll have 1 or fewer in your hand. From pitching madness or casting, I don't know, spells.
It's a possibility.
I mean, like, I don't want to write it off because, like, it is very possible for you to do that. But I also feel like if you're playing a game of EDH, like, if you only have 1 or fewer cards in your hand, you're probably not going to win the game because your opponents at that point are just going to have more options, more cards, and card draw is what wins games. This incentivizes you to do the opposite.
Yeah,
this is where we go back to the meh.
Well, I kind of feel like the card draw on this card is the fact that you're digging 6. That's kind of like your card. Like, sorry, not card draw, but that's where like your hand is now the top of your library.
I mean, yeah, it gives you the card advantage. It's not card draw, but it is card advantage. But I mean, like, there's still a whiff potential with that. If I flip over the top 6 cards in my library and I hit lands, instants, and I don't know, a couple of enchantments, like, this did nothing.
Yeah, be really awkward with a Drannith Magistrate on the field.
Also, this thing only has 4 toughness. Like, it has to be able to attack.
Yeah.
Who's to say that I just don't block this and then, you know what, sure, okay, you reanimated 1 legendary creature and now your commander's dead and now you got to sit back and cast this thing for 7.
Yeah, it sucks. I'm talked out of it.
Moving on to the grade, Shane. What are you giving it?
I think I'm giving this a D, dude.
I'm not that low. I still like free cards. It's a C.
Yeah, I'll join you there, Hunter. This is a C.
I agree. I don't think the card is bad. I just don't think the card is great. It's middle of the road, and with that being said, it's a C.
The average grade for Djeru and Hazoret is a C. Moving on to Drana and Linvala. Drana and Linvala is 1, 2 white, and a black for a 3/4 legendary creature vampire angel. It's got flying and vigilance. It says activated abilities of creatures your opponents control can't be activated. And Drana and Linvala have all activated abilities of all creatures your opponents control. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to activate those abilities. This is a very fun card, I'd say. Wouldn't you, David?
Yeah, I think this card is pretty cool. Although it does hurt all of your opponents, so your opponents are going to kill this over and
Yeah,
over
it's
and over again.
a lot of hate.
It is definitely a hate generator. But
Am I crazy to
it's
think that
fun.
this is stacks?
Oh, this is 100% like a stack stack. I mean, like
Yeah, just
that's
making
where
sure.
your protection is going to come from. You're going to drop
Just
a bunch
making
of
sure.
other. You're going to drop a bunch of other like creatures in here that are going to prevent your opponents from interacting. That way, they can't kill this thing, and then I don't know. You're just going to outvalue them. This is also a card that I feel like it's creating kind of like a sub game, because once this thing drops, your opponents are probably not going to play the creatures with good abilities. So they're going to just like hold up the cards in their hand until they can get a board wipe or removal, and then this thing dies, and then they'll start to flood the board. So
That's what I was thinking.
Dude, I would make this deck just annoying if I was to build it.
You don't say.
Fun
White
fact, I
should throw
did.
all the. Did you make just a stacks / annoying deck? Because I would
And
throw in
I've
Fieldred and discard effects. And Steven, what do you think of this card?
It's too good, so it's bad.
It's too good, it's
good,
bad,
so
dude.
it's bad.
I love that logic.
This comes down, opponents either counter it or kill it immediately.
Let's move on to the grades. I'm giving this a B.
I'm gonna give it a C.
Wow.
I love stacks, dude. I'm gonna give this a B as well.
I am with Steven. I'm going to give this a C as well, just because like every opponent in the world is going to want to kill this thing immediately.
Well, the average grade for Drana and Linvala is a B. Next up, Errant and Giada. It is 1, a white and a blue for a 2/3 legendary creature human angel that has flash and flying, and it says you may look at the top card of your library anytime, and you may cast spells with flash or flying from the top of your library. So we have a flash flying tribal deck.
I think
What do
anything
you
with flash from the command zone is awesome, dude. Just always having that like holding that ability up
Yeah, it's true.
and accessing the top of your library, and essentially, I guess there's a whiff potential because it could be nothing there, but the ability to cast extra things from top of your library, dude, that's awesome. This seems like a really fun deck.
I mean, historically speaking, in these colors, there's never been a way to reorder the top of your
No,
deck. So.
never.
So that says Divine top?
No, never. That doesn't exist.
Okay, sorry.
Brainstorm, none of that. No, it doesn't exist.
I don't know. This is very restrictive. It's got a very narrow lane. I'm actually not very high on this card. Like, the card advantage is really cool, but like Shane mentioned, there's a whiff potential there, and the deck restrictions are just extreme.
Flying and flash.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can build a Flying Men deck, and this is cool for it. I don't know if I would want to play a Flying Men deck and have this as my commander.
You can cast flying from the top of your library.
We know. We read the card, dude.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
I do love these colors, though, so, like, I'm biased.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Are you holding up mana for a counter? Or are you holding up mana to flash in your commander?
You'll never know, dude.
You'll never know until he flashes in his commander. We'll start with you, Shane. Let's move on to the grades. What are you giving it?
With all that being said, I still believe this is only a C.
I'm going to say that this card is probably a D for me. It's not necessarily my style, and I just don't really think that this does a whole lot.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, buddy. This is a D.
Well, I'm going to be with Shane. This is going to be a C from me.
Partner.
Partners, just like Errant and Giada, the average grade here is a C. Next up, we have a dinosaur. This is Etali Primal Conqueror. It's 5 and 2 red for a 7/7 legendary creature, Elder Dinosaur. It's got Trample and says when Etali Primal Conqueror enters the battlefield, each player exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast any number of spells from among the non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. Has another ability where you can pay 9 and a green Phyrexian. Transform Etali activate only as a sorcery. When it's transformed, it turns into Etali Primal Sickness. It is an 11/11 legendary creature Phyrexian Elder Dinosaur that has Trample and Indestructible, and says when Etali Primal Sickness deals combat damage to a player, they get that many poison counters. Boom.
I don't think there's anything on this card that is bad. And the only thing that scares me is the CMCs of things. But every single piece of text on this card is terrifying. And if it is pulled off, you are going to be a big threat. That's my piece.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. The CMC is definitely the worst part of the card, right? However, it is green as well as red, so you can ramp into it pretty easily.
I understand. I know. I'm just saying that's the only part that's like making me scared of this card, because everything else is literally an all-star for me.
Yeah, I like the ETB. It's classic Etali there with exiling and being able to play all those cards, which is insane. And then the backside is just Blightsteel Colossus.
Yep.
Reprinted essentially. Nuts.
I don't know, like what Hunter mentioned, green and red are both really good at being able to ramp, so I don't think that the mana value here is going to be all that difficult to get into. This is a card that literally cannot whiff, and whenever I look at a card like this, honestly, I don't even see the back side of the card because the front side of the card is just so incredibly powerful. I don't know. I like playing combos, and this is an amazing card for like a food chain combo where you just cast every card in your opponent's decks, and then they just have lands. So... I mean, there is a massive amount of upside with this card. Yeah, it's insanity. It's really scary, and it completely folds to a single removal or counter spell.
You and your food chain combo, man.
I mean,
No, it's
look,
like it's
it's
good.
fucking good.
I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna speak my piece now. I don't care if somebody counters this. I don't care if somebody destroys this with a piece of removal, because all I need for this to do is hit the battlefield. I have personally built this deck, and I have personally played this multiple times, and it is probably my favorite deck I've played in a long time. The mechanics of being able to play everyone else's shit. The way I built this deck was I put 13 ramp spells in this deck. And I can tell you one thing, I have never had an issue casting this commander after it was killed. It's nuts. And like David said, I don't even look at the backside. I could give three shits about the backside of this card. But being able to copy this card, being able to cast everything else in my deck, being able to cast everyone else's shit, this card is so much fun, man. I have it's insane.
I think we're all in
Yeah,
agreement this card's nuts, dude.
yeah, this card's great, man. I honestly, dude, this made me love Gruul. Like Gruul was a cool format for me before, like not format, but Gruul was a good color scheme for me before. But like this really took it over the top. I love the way this card interacts.
Well, okay, let's move on to the grades. And Steven, you built the deck. What are you giving this card?
I know I'm gonna get hate. I'm gonna give it an A, dude. This is a personal spot in my heart.
Whoa.
That's okay.
I'm giving it a C, just because of the CMC cost. I know you talked about your 13 ramp spells, but still a little high for me.
I got this
gonna
out
run-
turn 4.
Cool.
I'm going to go around the middle, and I'm going to give it a B.
I'm just going to go ahead and say that if you can ramp into a Jessica's Will on turn 1, which is very easy to do, you can drop a Thalia on turn 1, and I'm still going to give him the C because of that.
Because of that.
The average grade for a Etali Primal Conqueror is going to be a B. Moving on to another dinosaur. This is Ghalta and Mavren. Ghalta and Mavren is 3, 2 green, and 2 white for a 12/12 legendary creature dinosaur vampire. It has trample and says whenever you attack, choose one. The first one says create a tapped and attacking XX green dinosaur creature token with trample, where X is the greatest power among other attacking creatures. And the other one says create X 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is the number of other attacking creatures. How about this one, Steven? Would you build this one?
No.
13 ramp spells? No?
Nope.
Why not?
Nope.
Because you don't get free spells, Hunter. Free spells are always good, remember?
Free spells are good, but a free dinosaur is also good.
This is like a different kind of... This is like a U deck, Hunter. You need to be tapping your creatures sideways for this card to do anything.
I mean, listen, I compared to the last card we just talked about, I think this card is great. Don't get me wrong. But I much rather have a card with an ETB effect rather than a turn it sideways effect any day of the week.
But the turn it sideways effect is also fun.
Sure.
It's got a little bit of evasion too, right? It's got trample, so you can't just block with a 1/1, thank goodness.
Yeah, and when you attack with a 12/12 with a trample, you make another 12/12 with a trample.
What I will say is this card is really fun with Sorin, the one that lets you just pay loyalty to put a vampire creature card from your hand onto the battlefield.
Oh, because this is a vampire, dude.
Because this is a vampire. So you can just cast Sorin and then fucking just loyalty for this. It's kind of nuts.
I love that all you see is a dinosaur on the picture, but hey, it's a vampire too.
Yep.
Yeah, look at him up there.
I see him.
Yeah, the vampire's on the top.
Let's move on to the grades. David, what are you giving this?
It's 7 mana for a big creature. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of this card. I'm probably never going to use a second mode on it. So really, I just kind of looked as like it has the potential to make more big things. It's not really doing a whole lot for me. I'm going to give it a C.
Yeah, I'm going to join you there. I think this is a C as much as I love dinosaurs.
Big stompy. C is fun, dude.
Yeah, this card is it's good, but it's meh. So it's a C.
The average grade for Ghalta and Mavren is going to be a C. Moving on to Glissa, Herald of Predation. It is 3 a black and a green for a 3/5 legendary creature Phyrexian zombie elf. It says at the beginning of combat on your turn, choose 1. Incubate 2 twice. Transform all incubator tokens you control. Or Phyrexians you control gain first strike and death touch until end of turn. We saw Glissa in the last one. It had first strike and death touch. This one doesn't have those anymore. That's sad.
Nope. She gives something else that, though.
She does give something else that.
She's like the commander doing that. I'm not even sure if this incubate thing is a deck yet, so I feel like the bottom pip is the only one that I'd be choosing. But correct me if I'm wrong. You think the top 2 are even good?
I think you're wrong. Yeah.
You do? Okay.
I like
I didn't know. I didn't know how they perform it.
Yeah, I don't. They're kind of slow. They don't really do a whole lot. They're mana intensive. I don't. No.
Sorry, I'm just trying to think about mana intensity here. Let me see. Transform all incubated tokens at the beginning of combat on your turn. Pay. Oh, just at the beginning. Okay, no, there's no pay in there.
Yeah, but then that means I have to do that mode instead of one of the other ones.
Yeah.
I mean, I get like,
yeah.
She makes the things for you. She makes the Phyrexians, and she like gives the Phyrexians relevant abilities. So like they can potentially swing in later on, but this is so slow. Drops on turn 5. I guess you can ramp into this, but like 4 or 5 mana, this is probably going to be the thing that starts to build up your board state. I don't think I want my game to start whenever I have 5 mana.
I just hate the fact that one of her abilities is to give herself the things that she used to have.
I mean, they gotta do something to her, man. They gotta not make her too good.
I mean, part of the reason why she used to be really good with those relevant abilities, though, is because she was a hell of a blocker with them. Yeah. She'll never be able to block with those abilities in this version. It's only on your turn.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a bummer.
I'm not sure if I'm sold on this card, dude.
I'm not either. Steve, you got anything to add?
I mean, I think this card is pretty great. I mean, it makes you the incubate tokens that you want. It transforms it for you. And then once you've built up enough of a board state, you are now just going to swing in for an aggressive amount of damage that is first strike and death touch. This is obviously Phyrexian Tribal, which we have seen with this new set is not an issue. I don't foresee this being a problem to build, and I do like it. I think that 5 mana is touching the ceiling a little bit for me almost. I know you can ramp into it, but let's say you ramp, Magical Christmas Land, and you get this down on turn 3. I think this is a force to be reckoned with.
See, here's the thing. If I was playing against this deck, I'd hang on to
Mhm.
my my board wipe until
Yep.
you transformed them all.
I think she kind of telegraphs what the game plan is here.
Yeah, step 1, step 2, step 3. And those
And those steps are
exact
once
orders.
per turn, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying. Those are all strong. Those all could be strong, Steven, but you said the fact that, like, okay, she incubates, transforms, she gives them that, but it's like
Mhm.
she incubates, waits, transforms, waits, first strikes, attack. You know what I mean? It's like there's like full stops after all these.
Yeah, no, you're right. I forgot. Like, yeah, damn, you guys are right. If only there was a way to protect your creatures and make them indestructible from board wipes or something like that in colors like this.
Yeah, but since those don't exist, let's move on to the grades.
I know I said a lot of good things, but I'm going to give this a C.
I'm going to give this a D.
Oh,
I'll give it a C.
I think I was originally going to give it a C, but I think Steven actually convinced me. It's a D.
I love the
Yeah.
higher grade. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, the average grade goes to the higher grade. Glissa is a C. Next up, Goro-Goro and Satoru. It is a blue, black, and red 3/4 legendary creature goblin human. It says whenever one or more creatures you control that enter the battlefield this turn deal combat damage to a player, create a 5/5 red dragon spirit creature token with flying. Has another ability to pay 1 and a red. Creatures you control gain haste till end of turn. This is a fun one. What do you think, Steven?
I am very happy you chose me to talk about this first. I love this card. I love this card. This card is good. Good card, good. 3 mana for a 3/4 off the rip, aggressively nice. I do love 3 mana cost commanders. It is probably my favorite commander cost ever. The fact that you technically don't have to play this on turn 3, and you can just play this on like turn 5 or even 4, and then just give this haste, swing, hopefully deal some combat damage, and make a 5/5 is stupid.
Stupid.
Making 5/5s for free is very cool.
Yeah, plus like in blue and in black, I mean they have tons of 1/1s that can't be blocked. You build the deck with a low mana base of creatures that can't be blocked, and then you just make a shit ton of really large flyers.
Dude, I love the fact that it gives all the creatures, like, sometimes I see that ability, it's like, give target creature haste. Like, this is just, your team has haste, dude.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that second ability was in the first Goro-Goro, and I threw him in tons of decks because of that. So
Yeah, I bet, dude.
I love this card. I think this card is also fantastic, and I think it's very easy to just keep the dragons coming.
I completely
Dragon
agree.
Engine.
There's just that one stipulation of only making 1 per combat.
That's okay.
Totally fine, dude. I'm cool with the free 5/5 every turn.
Me too.
I mean, did you throw anger and wonder into this?
Yeah, don't even think you need to.
Yeah, dude. But then if
But
you had
can you?
Wonder in
Yes.
this, your dragons would also have flying and flying.
Flying.
Yeah.
They
Haste,
fly
haste,
even
and
higher.
flying. Haste
But
square,
your
dude? Oh, shit.
other non-dragon creatures have flying too.
Let's move on to the grades, Steven. What are you giving it?
Gonna give it a B.
I'm right there with you, bro. This is a B.
Same here. This is going to be a B for me too.
Wow, it's been a while since we talked about a good card. It's a B. It's a B all around.
Dude, we're all
Wow.
positive again.
Look at us, all on the same page for a good card. Goro-Goro and Satoru is going to be an average of a B. Next up, we have a god. It is Heliod, the Radiant Dawn. It is 2 and 2 white for a 4/4 legendary enchantment creature god. It says when Heliod, the Radiant Dawn, enters the battlefield, return target enchantment card that isn't a god from your graveyard to your hand. Has another ability to pay 3 and a blue Phyrexian. Transform Heliod, the Radiant Dawn. Activate only as a sorcery. When it's transformed, it turns into Heliod, the Warped Eclipse. It is a 4/6 legendary enchantment creature Phyrexian god. It says you may cast spells as though they had flash, and spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each card your opponents have drawn this turn. I just want to say I played against this card in a draft, and they flipped it, and it was really hard to beat. It
I think
was
this
incredible.
is dope, dude.
Yeah.
One of the big things about enchantments, it does the thing that David and I talked about a lot. With aura enchantments, they kind of just become irrelevant when they're dead. But this just brings it back to your hand. So it basically makes all of your aura enchantments into like a Rancor, which is amazing.
I don't even think about that when I see this card.
You should.
No, no, you shouldn't. When you're playing this card, sure, like you can get your enchantment card back. I'm not looking to play any kind of auras in this deck, really. I'm looking to play like a Smothering Tithe to make you guys draw so many fucking cards that I can play anything I want with the insane amount of card draw this commander provides. And not only after I have all those treasures, even if you guys have shit in your hand to stop something, I will have plenty of counters and none of my shit will cost anywhere near it needs to cost.
I think that when we evaluate these cards, we probably need to look more on the front half than the back half. On the front half, I mean, it's a cool card. It does provide that recursion, but that's about it. And that's kind of the downside here. The back half of the card is really powerful. Giving all your stuff flash is wonderful. And then also the cost reduction there is going to be really nice as well. I'm just worried that you're going to drop this. You're going to sink your 4 mana into it. And it's not really going to do a whole lot. The first time you cast this, it actually does nothing at all unless you already have an enchantment in your graveyard. So, yeah, it's got recursion there. But worst case scenario, this is a 4 mana vanilla 4/4.
That's a pretty bad worst case.
Like, I just think that the floor on this card is really low. Like, it's got a decent amount of power to it, too. Yeah, I'll give it that. But that's after I've sank 7 mana into this card, potentially 8. I don't know how I feel here. I think it's just potentially too low on the front half for me.
It is low on the front half, but boy, oh boy, that back half. Better hope you can get it.
Yeah, dude, Heliod got back. And we're here for it, dude.
Moving on to the grades. David, what are you going to give it?
I'm going to give it a C just because like this is a card that's going to do either absolutely nothing or a whole lot of it pissing everybody off. So I feel like, I don't know. I don't know how to evaluate it. It's too wide. It's a C.
I think it's a C for me as well, dude.
This is going to be a C from me too.
Well, disappointed in all you guys not giving this the grade it deserves. This is an A.
Stop it.
I'm not. I'm super high on this card.
Okay.
Heliod, the Radiant Dawn, gets an average grade of a B. Next up, Hidetsugu and Kairi. It is 2 blue and a black for 5/4 legendary creature, Ogre, Demon, Dragon. It's got flying. It says when Hidetsugu and Kairi enter the battlefield, draw 3 cards. Then put 2 cards from your hand on the top of your library in any order. It says when Hidetsugu and Kairi dies, exile the top card of your library. Target opponent loses life equal to the mana value. If it's an instant or sorcery, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost.
Hunter.
What do you? Yeah.
I know you told me about the nutty combo in Standard, but is it possible to pull that off in EDH?
Maybe.
Because the combo was like 20 damage in 1 turn.
It is 20 damage in 1 turn, yes.
So
And it's
that doesn't do anything in EDH.
doesn't
That's what I'm
doesn't
thinking.
kill anybody
Yeah.
in EDH. But
Free
20
spells are pretty good
damage.
though, still.
Free spells are good. And David, if you didn't know what the combo is, it's someone puts a 10 mana spell on top of their deck that does 10 damage, and they just kill this on upkeep themselves. So 20 damage, game over.
But for EDH, I'm not sure. I do like
For
the fact that you can get free spells, right? But
you get free spells when this dies.
right. So unless, like you said, you're killing it yourself, which you
Yeah,
might be, honestly. Yeah, you might be doing that. Might be a combo-centric thing.
You could kill it yourself, but how often are you doing that when this is going back to the command zone and costing 2 more every time?
Yeah, I know.
And if someone sees this being telegraphed, why would you kill this in the next 2 turns? Because you're putting 2 cards on top, right? So at least the next 2 cards, as soon as those are gone, then I'm probably killing this.
This isn't black. Like, they're going to be packing sacrifice stuff in this deck. Right. You're not going to pass and just like, oh, you know what? I'm going to let this thing hit me a couple of times so that they don't get their scry effect. Also, if you're building around this card, like, you're going to just continue to know what's on the top of your library anyways. You're going to have Brainstorms and Sensei's Tops and like all those other things in your deck that you're just going to have that constant knowledge.
Sure, but are you trying to keep really good stuff on top of your deck, or do you want to play them?
I mean, it depends. Maybe I'm keeping one good thing that I want to draw and one good thing on the top, like for me to potentially hurt somebody with.
So that being said, then David, is the second half of this card in EDH just irrelevant for you? Because you don't want this thing to die, right?
No, I mean, I think that you probably do want this thing to die, but you're trying to set it up. This is weird. It's like, it reminds me a lot of like Yuriko, but it's with instants and sorceries. So like, I don't know. I'm not advocating that this card is good, by the way. I actually don't think that this is all that great in EDH. I'm just saying that like there is a world in which somebody does have a payoff for this card.
Not in my world. Steven,
And I
what do
guess-
you think?
Oh,
Not in my world. This card sucks.
I was gonna say there is a world where when this thing dies, you just reanimate it, right? You're in black, you can reanimate cards, keep those things in your graveyard. But if you're paying for it every time from commander cost, that's gonna suck.
Exactly my point. Let's move on to the grades. I'm giving this thing a D.
I'm giving it a D too, dude.
I'm giving this a C.
I'm gonna give it a D. There's probably something you can do, but I just don't see it.
Well, Hidetsugu and Kairi gets an average grade of a D. Next up, another pairing, Inga and Esika. It is 2, a green and a blue for a 4/4 legendary creature, human god. It says creatures you control have vigilance and tap, add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast a creature spell. Has another ability where it says whenever you cast a creature spell, if 3 or more mana from creatures was spent to cast it, draw a card.
I actually think that this card is pretty dope, to be completely honest. It turns all of your cards into, or all of your creatures into basically just like mana dorks. So it's going to help to ramp you up into the next big bad thing that you want to drop. Also, the second ability there, the 3 or more mana from creatures, it is very possible that you have a single creature that taps for 3 or more mana, especially if you build this deck correctly. So like this could be drawing you pretty consistently 2, maybe 3 cards per turn.
That's what I was thinking. The fact that all your creatures have vigilance too, that's nothing to scoff at. So they can
Yeah, I
be
mean-
attacks and then mana or block, dude.
Then cast big stuff.
Yeah.
And when you cast big stuff, draw a card. Pretty cool. I'm a fan of this card, actually.
I love Simic too, dude. You know that. So
I like ramping into big stuff. This does it perfectly.
I mean, so creatures I control have vigilance and tap. So basically, I'm just using all my creatures for tapping. I have to cast a spell that's 3 or more mana to draw a card. I can just do that any other way instead of just casting a spell for 3 mana. Like, cool. Like, I think Simic is such a good color combo, and this just fucking just sucks it. Just sucks the Simic out of it. I don't like it. I have no issue if somebody loves this card. After hearing everything you guys have said about this card, nothing has made me say, holy shit, you guys are right. I may want to actually consider building this. Never.
all right. Well, we all have strong opinions.
Well, let's move on to the grades, Steven. I want to hear what yours is.
It's D. I give it an F, but at the end of the day, it still does something.
I'm just sitting over here giggling at all this. No, I actually completely agree with Steven. I'm going to give this a D. It just doesn't really do enough for me.
Wow, I disagree. I think you can ramp into big stuff. This is a C for me.
Yeah, you're fucking hilarious, dude. This is a C.
Inga and Esika gets an average grade of a C. Another pairing is Katilda and Lier. It is a green, a white, and a blue for a 3/3 legendary creature human. It says whenever you cast a human spell, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost.
Do you guys hear it? So Katilda and Lier are in the middle of the frame, and they're yelling. And they're saying, "Please play us," because no one will.
Is that what's happening?
Is
Mhm.
that what's happening there, Steven?
Yep.
Why don't you like the card?
It's too restrictive.
This card is awful.
Yeah, it's really
Why?
not like. I get that it try to do what Lear does, but it does not do what he does very well.
It wants to have a density of those instants and sorceries, and then it also has to have a high enough density of humans for it to do anything. This card literally is a 3 mana 3/3 that I don't think it actually has any other words on it. The rest of that is flavor text. This card is awful.
Very interesting card. I mean, obviously it's going to be human tribal with good stuff in the colors that are instants and sorceries.
Yeah,
You're
you're
really
talking
struggling
yourself
to make
into
this
it.
good, dude. Yeah.
Hey, man. Just trying to
Well-
beat on the flip side of the card.
Well, Hunter
Well,
read the word human spells and was like, I can make this work.
I just love what he's going with this too. He's like, and like, look at the artwork, dude. The artwork is cool, and like, this was a pre-release promo, and it's a mythic. Let me say other things that are like really not relevant about this card being good. Oh, it starts with a K.
Ends in an R, dude.
Moving on to the grades, I'll start. Yeah, you guys are right. This is not great. It's a D.
It's a D, bud.
Well, you know my rule. If it does something, I usually give it a D, but this is an F.
This card is an F.
The average grade for Katilda and Lier is going to be a D. Next up is Kogla and Yidaro. It is 2 red, 2 green for a 7/7 legendary creature, ape, dinosaur, turtle. It says when it enters the battlefield, choose one. It gains trample and haste until end of turn, or it fights target creature you don't control. Has another ability. We can pay 2, a red and a green. Discard Kogla and Yidaro. Destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. Shuffle Kogla and Yidaro into your library from your graveyard. Then draw a card.
I'm sorry, bud, but no.
This one wasn't made for Commander, was it?
No, yeah, no, it
Yeah,
wasn't.
so this is one of those cards we should just talk about real fast.
Yeah, honestly, you can't do it.
The
It's-
second ability, completely irrelevant, right? We're just
It's
ignoring it completely.
yeah,
We're
it's
still
not
talking.
relevant. Like, it's expensive, it's hard to get into play, and it doesn't have good abilities. The best part about this card is 7/7, and even that's not that impressive. I'm ready to move on.
6 mana for a 7/7 that has haste and trample till end of turn. Doesn't get
Poor
to keep it.
Kogla, dude.
It also gets to fight something, maybe. Yeah, this
Sorry, bud.
this isn't good. Let's move on to the grades then. I think we're all on the same board. I'm giving this an F.
I'm gonna give it an F, you bud.
Jeez. Slow down,
Samesies.
everybody. Everyone knows this card's an F. You don't got to give it like that.
Kogla and Yidaro, congratulations. The average grade here is going to be an F. Next up, Kroxa and Kunoros. It is 3, a red, a white, and a black for a 6/6 legendary creature, Elder Giant Dog. It's got Vigilance, Menace, and Lifelink. And it says whenever Kroxa and Kunoros enters the battlefield or attacks, you may exile 5 cards from your graveyard. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Oh,
David.
finally, dude. Finally a good card.
I don't know if I agree with that. David, what do you think of this card?
This is a 2-card combo with Altar of Dementia. So I do think this card is really good. The way that you can stack those abilities is Kroxa can actually grab itself because of the way that it's worded. So you just get to mill through your deck and find the creature card that you are going to win the game with, and then you win the game. Also on top of that, like, this is in pretty decent colors, and if worst case happens, like, he's got a ton of abilities on its own. This card is a huge threat.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, Hunter, but this card is good.
I don't know if it is.
I mean, yeah, you will run out of cards unless you're doing the combo route. You get to exile 5, right? So
5,
you better be dumping your stuff into the graveyard, David. But I
It
know
is
you
a
will
good
because of the
thing.
combo. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's a good thing that in this color combination, that is very easy to do.
Oh yeah, 100%. But hey, this is great recursion, Hunter. This is insane recursion.
I don't even care if I run a combo on this deck. I think this card is super strong just to put big bad beaters into.
Mm-hmm.
You run a mill package, you just mill yourself. You can put Avacyn or Shieldred. Any good creature that you can just mill into your graveyard.
You don't even have to mill them. You're in the color
Yeah, you can
combination where you
put
can
it in
directly
it.
tutor them.
Mm-hmm. Tell us, Hunter, why you don't like this card.
I already told you. The
Sorry.
whole exiling 5 cards is going to be it's a hefty price.
It is
I
hefty, but I
disagree.
believe you'll do it.
But I will say Vigilance, Menace, and Lifelink just on a 6/6 is pretty fantastic.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually stoked on this card, dude.
Let's move on to the grades. Shane, what are you giving it?
I'm giving this a B, dude.
I am not that high. This is a C.
I am that high. This is a B.
This is a B.
The average grade for Kroxa and Kunoros is going to be a B. Next up, Omnath, Locus of All. It is a white, a blue, a black Phyrexian, a red, and a green. For a 4/4 legendary creature Phyrexian Elemental. It says if you would lose unspent mana, that mana becomes black instead. And at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card if it has 3 or more colored mana symbols in its mana cost. If you do, add 3 mana in any combination of its colors and put it into your hand. If you don't reveal it, put it into your hand. Seems good.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that this is David's
it
card.
doesn't.
This is awful.
Yeah, this is real
This is
bad.
why David loves it.
No, I don't love this card at all, actually. It's very slow. I get that it's 5 colors, so like that's cute, but this does like nothing for me. I don't like this card at all.
Gives you free mana.
No, it doesn't.
Why?
If I would lose that unspent mana, I have to already have that mana to get it. It's not free. It's not like it's generating mana for me.
Well,
It
read the
just like
second part. Isn't that
banks it
free?
for later. I mean,
Give me your-
yeah, sure, if I don't whiff.
I mean, if you do whiff, you just put it in your hand.
Yeah, there's no whiffing.
Free card advantage.
I actually think that of all of the Omnaths, this is probably I think I maybe like this better than the mono green one, but that's it. The rest of them, I would rather play any of the others.
I don't know, man. This literally gives you a card for doing nothing.
I mean, so does Borborygmos and Fblthp, but we weren't that high on that card either.
What a callback.
Great call.
I don't know. I think this is not as terrible as you're saying it out to be.
Well, you got to convince us.
Man, like I'm not gonna lie. Like all I'll say is I've watched a lot. I was gonna say a few, but I don't want to perjure myself here on this video. I've watched a lot of Commander videos with Omnath being at the helm of somebody's deck, and it looks like it's gonna pop off, and then it's just fucking doesn't. This card never does anything.
I don't know. Still having a commander that's 5 colors, building the deck with a lot of those colors is going to be really easy to do. And if you, like I said, if you do whiff, Dave, like the 3 mana symbols, you're just putting the card in your hand.
Like 3 colored mana symbols is a lot to ask for. So yeah, like worst case scenario, it draws me a card every turn.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. But there are so much better things that I could be doing, especially in 5 colors. Like I just don't see this. I think that this is going to do its worst case scenario probably 80% of the time.
I don't know.
Well,
I just think that people were sorry. I don't know. I think people are just using this to hopefully get a shit ton of black mana to put into a Torment of Hellfire and call it a day.
Yeah, you could do the same thing you did with the last one, where like at the end of someone's turn, before your turn, tap all your unspent mana, right?
Yeah, and then when you're tapped out, you just fucking get the shit. You fucking kill it, and then all that mana goes to shit.
Let's move on to the grades. I'm going to give this a C.
I'm gonna give it a C as well.
I'm
You
going to
know,
give it a D.
I gotta go with David here, man. I've been trying to fight to give this a C, but I really can't. No, it's a D.
Well, the higher grade wins there. Omnath, Locus of All, is a C. Next up, Polukranos Reborn. It is 3 green mana for a 4/5 legendary creature Hydra. It's got reach, has another ability to pay 6, and a white Phyrexian. Transform Polukranos Reborn. Activate only as a sorcery. When it's transformed, it turns into Polukranos Engine of Ruin. It is a 6/6 legendary creature Phyrexian Hydra. It's got reach and lifelink and says whenever Polukranos Engine of Ruin or another non-token Hydra you control dies, create a 3/3 green and white Phyrexian Hydra creature token with reach and a 3/3 green and white Phyrexian Hydra creature token with lifelink. We
I think
have
if
a Hydra tribal deck.
This card's great.
Why's that gotta be a tribal deck, dude?
Well, because if you flip it, if another non-token Hydra dies, you also get those abilities or those Hydras.
Well, if we're looking at the front half of this card, it's just a big reacher. Doesn't really do anything, right?
It's not even
Back half
big.
does a lot. You're right. But I mean, 3 mana for a 4/5, that is big, but I get it. It's not big, but
I mean,
or
it's
it's
big.
mana.
Yeah, it's big status for its cost, but it's like I'm not afraid of a 4/5, and that's pretty much where this card ends for me. 6 mana or 7 mana to flip this thing. Like, sure, go ahead, spend all your mana to dump into this to make it still not a very good card.
Unless you're doing Hydra tribal somehow.
If you even are doing Hydra tribal, like how many Hydras are in white?
I don't know.
Like 2?
None.
3? Yeah.
There's 0.
Oh
Yeah,
wait,
0.
you're right. Actually, I did the math. I already looked it up. It says right there in my notes, 0 are white.
That is
Yeah,
correct.
sorry, Hunter.
So like you have other options out there for Hydra tribal, and I don't think I want to play this one.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. This is currently in standard. I know we don't care about standard here in the EDH.
Oh yeah, I bet it's great in standard.
Pretty solid.
I mean,
But
my
EDH,
issue
no.
with this card is just weird enough for me to love it.
Oh yeah,
Are you doing
baby.
it for the memes, Steven?
Doing it for the memes, dude, because all I can think about is playing all these Hydras and then hoping somebody board wipes.
You
No
got a
one would
bunch
board
of
wipe you,
Hydras.
dude.
Cut one head off, another one takes its
17
place.
grow back, yeah.
Unless
Well-
you path this thing first.
Ooh, true.
That would be unfortunate. Let's move on to the grades, Steven. What are you giving it for the memes?
For the memes, I'm giving this a B, baby.
Oh my god. You're such a memester, dude.
Yeah, this is a C for me.
I'm giving this a C.
Well, make sure that you comment down below and tell me that I'm wrong for this one, because I just look at this card. It's 3 mana for a 4/5. The second ability is just a massive mana sink, and if I'm your opponent, I'm stoked if you're wasting your turn to flip this. This is an F. I'm gonna go with an F.
Whoa.
We need a hot take button. That's a hot take.
Like,
Oh,
I know
yeah.
that somebody's going to give me flack because I know that somebody out there really cares about this. And if that is for you, then that's fantastic. And I'm not trying to, like, I don't know, talk down to your card or anything like that. But I don't think I'm upset if my opponent is spending all of their mana to make this a still not relevant creature.
It's all right. I accept your apology.
Well, Polukranos Reborn gets an average grade of a C. Next up, we have someone that is going to be a Planeswalker in some future set. This is Quintorius Loremaster. Quintorius Loremaster is 3, a red and a white for a 3/5 legendary creature, Elephant Cleric. It's got Vigilance. It says, at the beginning of your end step, exile target non-creature, non-land card from your graveyard. Create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. Has another ability. You can pay 1, a red and a white. Tap it, sacrifice a spirit, choose target card exiled with Quintorius. You may cast that card this turn without paying its mana cost. If that spell would be put into a graveyard, put it on the bottom of its owner's library instead.
I have never liked the Lore Master Elephant at all in any card format, color scheme ever. And I ain't starting now.
I think it's a bummer, dude, because like the top half of the card wants you to be exiling your stuff, right, to get the spirits to hopefully be attacking, but then the bottom half wants you to get rid of them. So it's like, make up your mind, dude. Am I creating them or if I'm getting rid of them?
You're doing both. What do you mean?
Yeah, but I want to
You're
attack
making
with
them
them or
to get rid
something.
of them.
Yeah,
So
well,
just
that's
fucking make them. I'm sure that in Boros there's tons of things that create you spirits, right? Hunter?
Yeah,
It's true. Yeah, you can make little 1/1 spirits. Get rid of those instead of the 3/2s.
that's true. That's true. Okay, but still, make up your mind, Quintorius.
Yeah, sorry. Oh my god, I just realized I just defended this card.
Got him.
I actually love this card. And I know that that's going to sound really strange here.
I'm not shocked.
I love it because it's a Boros card that doesn't actually care about combat. It's exploring something new within that design space. So I think that that is really interesting, and I really want us to continue to get cards like this. Now, looking
But-
at this card specifically, this card is awful. It's very slow, coming in at 5 mana. It's kind of like a mid-rangey threat, but it requires so much build-up. Your opponents can see it coming, and then like what you guys already mentioned, like it's polarized. So I can't like this card.
But you like it. You just can't like it.
Yeah, I'm like, I like it a lot, but I don't like it at all. Also, how many fingers do elephants have? I know that they don't
4.
actually have fingers, but
4.
like he's got 4, and something about that just like really throws me off.
Hunter or David,
That's
have you
why
seen
you
an
don't like the
elephant
card.
foot?
It's a hoof.
Yeah, but like
It's like a stump.
he's got an elephant hand.
Oh,
and,
you're
and
right.
just
the
seeing
stump.
it.
They don't have.
Does Ajani have paw hands? Like it doesn't have to work that way.
Yeah.
We're getting
Hey,
so
Dave,
off
he's
topic.
different. I think this is pretty cool. I like David made a good point where it's coming from a design standpoint. It's different. Having the ability to play another card for free, and then it doesn't go into the graveyard. It's put into your library to maybe be shuffled up and replayed down the line. Also very cool. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I don't think it's the most powerful, like you said, at 5 CMC, but I'm here for it.
You're here for it, huh?
Let's
What's
move
your
on to the
grade?
grades. I'm giving it a C. It's middle of the road for me.
I'm gonna give
give
this
this a
a
D.
D. Ooh,
Whoa!
samesies.
Twins.
We're leaving that in because that was crazy. I don't even want to talk anymore. That was amazing. I'm gonna give this a C.
Well, Quintorius Loremaster gets an average grade of a C.
That was insane.
Next up, Rankle and Torbran. Another team up that cost 1, 2 black, 2 red for a 3/4 legendary creature, Fairy Dwarf. It's got flying, first strike, and haste. It says whenever Rankle and Torbran deals combat damage to a player or battle, choose any number. Each player creates a treasure token. Each player sacrifices a creature. Or if a source would deal damage to a player or battle this turn, it deals that much damage +2 instead. Oh, Mr. Rakdos player, Dave, what do you think?
I knew you were going to come at me to talk about this card first. He is really difficult to get into play. With those 4 specific pips, I just don't really think that this card is actually a 5-drop. This is probably like a 6 or 7. And for its abilities, like, it has to deal combat damage. I understand. Yeah, it's got a bit of evasion. It comes down with haste. It's cute, but it's a 3/4. By that late in the game, my opponents probably have something that's capable of blocking it. And even in the case that they don't, I never want to give my opponents treasure tokens. So, like, that's not actually even a mode on the card for me. Each player sacrifices a creature. I guess it's sometimes relevant. And then the last one is, like, cute if I have a board state and swinging in with a bunch of other things. This doesn't do anything.
I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
going to
kinda-
defend the card, David. But in 2 colors for Commander, how many different dual lands are you running? Come on, bro.
Look, what I'm saying right now is that also means that you have to minimize the number of utility lands that you're playing. You have to be very conscious that this is probably going to eat your entire turn because it is requiring that double black and double red. This makes it much more difficult for you to actually be able to ramp into with ritual style effects because most of those only generate mana of a specific color. So, like, he's not coming down early. I mean, like, Soul Ring does not help this.
Hey, I wasn't defending the card. I'm just asking that. The pips didn't scare me away from the card. The card did.
This card's okay.
Why is it okay?
Really tough to get out, but
Oh
other
my
than that,
God.
good abilities.
I'm not trying to, like David said, I'm not trying to help my opponent with treasure.
Nah,
So
I'm
don't
not
pick
either.
it.
I won't. I feel like it got all the
I mean,
bad
that's-
versions of Rankle, dude.
What do you mean?
Like, the Rankle card as itself was good for other reasons, but I mean, what? It's got each opponent sacrifices a creature. That was a good
mean-
mode on Rankle.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I mean, the only thing that is making me not want to give this card a higher grade is the mana cost. This is
What-
first strike, so it deals first strike damage first, and then any source after that first strike is now going to deal an additional 2. So
I get
you
that.
are killing or murdering whatever the fuck you're swinging with, dude.
By 2 extra?
Yeah, I mean, you're making sure that you're going to attack with something towards somebody that you're going to fucking want to kill. I mean, this is in black and in red, so I mean, you can just steal your opponent's shit and then sacrifice it. Rakdos is so good, man.
Yeah, you're right. Rakdos is good. But 2 pips and 2 pips? I don't know. Let's move on to the grades. Steven, what are you giving it?
Giving this a C.
I'm going to give it a D. I love Rakdos, just not this card.
I'm giving this a D too, dude.
I'm joining Steven here. This is a C. Rankle and Torbran gets an average grade of a C. Next up, we have another transforming card. This is Rona, Herald of Invasion. Rona, Herald of Invasion is 1 and a blue for a 1/3 legendary creature human wizard. It says whenever you cast a legendary spell, untap Rona, Herald of Invasion. You can also tap to draw a card, then discard a card. It has another ability to pay 5 and a black Phyrexian mana. Transform Rona, activate only as a sorcery. When it's transformed, it turns into Rona Tolarian Obliterator. It is a 5/5 legendary creature Phyrexian wizard. It's got Trample and says whenever a source deals damage to Rona, Tolarian Obliterator, that source's controller exiles a card from their hand at random. If it's a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield under your control. Otherwise, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. I'm starting with Shane because I believe you said you wanted to build this.
I do. It's just because it looks fun and it does stuff that I like to be doing. So the back half, cool and all, very strong, like what David's been saying this whole time. I'm not going to fully be focused on that. I honestly think the front half is good enough just to keep her like that the entire time as my commander. You'll be casting a good amount. I mean, not all legendary spells, but a good amount of legendary spells. So it's not going to be uncommon for you in this deck to tap or untap her multiple times a turn. And I think that's the whole strategy is just get card advantage on your opponent and win with, like you said, build it around, Dave or Steven. I'm going to build around, and the things that I'm going to draw into are what's going to help me win the game. I know you could do other shenanigans with her, but that's not the way I want to play with her.
I mean, this card goes nuts, man. Shane, I completely agree with you. This is insane.
This card definitely pops off. There's a lot because it's legendary spell. It doesn't even have to be creatures. Like just play legendary enchantments, legendary sorceries. Just play some crazy things. Just keep her untapping, and then just filter through your deck by tapping her back down over and over and over. It's a very good card, and at 2 CMC to start off with as a commander is very good.
Yeah, she'll be out early and she'll be doing stuff early. Which is
You
good.
only need 3 mana for infinite mana combo. I mean, it's nuts, dude. This is insane. Sorry for those at home that want to know the combo. It's Mox Amber and then Retraction Helix.
Thank you, Steven.
I'm not a big fan of this card.
Oh,
Looking at this card, I don't think that the back half is real, just because I know that like it's very mana intensive, and then whenever it does end up flipping, it's probably going to end up eating removal because nobody wants to be hit with that. On the front half of the card, though, I mean, like I don't see it. She's going to help filter through your deck. And I mean, I guess, yes, you're playing a blue-black deck. You could be playing a combo. You can always be doing like the Thassa's Oracle play, but I don't know. I'm just not the biggest fan of it. I think that the front half is probably okay-ish enough that she's not going to eat removal. It's just like, I don't think the back half of this card actually does anything, and she's relatively low impact on the front.
no,
okay.
man.
That's okay. Steven, we're allowed to have opinions.
No, I know. I'm just saying it's just there's so much impact on the front of this card. I mean, the back to me is the extra flavor.
And
The
that's
front is where the juice is.
And that's where I'm evaluating this card. Like, I don't want to really do a whole lot on the back because it is so expensive and it's going to eat removal. It's just like the front half is like, she filters. And if you build it correctly and if you chain it right, she filters multiple times over the course of a single turn. I just don't
But
know
going back to our favorite callback, I mean, we were talking about Borborygmos and Fblthp and being able to filter through to find your win con. You know what I mean?
that draws me cards. And that is
This
I
draws
guess
you
they're
cards
both
too.
exploitable. Yeah, but this also discards my cards. So it's like I'm not keeping a massive hand. My hand size remains the same.
I mean, I completely agree, but you're in a color scheme to where, Reanimator's a thing, and with an infinite mana combo and being able to like shuffle through your deck, essentially, you can find what you need because even if you have 7 cards in hand, you're drawing 1 and you're discarding 1. So you're just discarding the stuff you don't need. So you're just finding those 7, those 6, those 5, whatever cards you want to win the game.
I get it. It's just I feel like this is a little bit slower, and then like the backup plan is just not there. Borborygmos, at least, if we're gonna make that comparison, has decent power and toughness.
Borborygmos also makes you discard a card, David. Actually, any number of cards.
You may.
Still, that's what you're going to be
That's
doing.
land cards.
I'm not gonna. I mean, I guess you can, but like you don't have to.
Moving on to the grades. Shane, what are you giving Rona?
I think she's a B for me, dude.
I'm actually on your side here. This is going to be a B for me.
I guess I'm gonna be the oddball out here. I'm gonna give this a C. I think it's okay.
I mean, I'm actually going to be the oddball out too because I'm giving this an A.
Ooh.
Still think it's a B.
Rona, Herald of Invasion, is going to be an average of a B. Moving on to another team up. This is Slimefoot and Squee. Slimefoot and Squee is black, red, green for a 3/3 legendary creature, Fungus Goblin. says whenever Slimefoot and Squee enters the battlefield or attacks, create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. Has another ability, you can pay 1, a black, a red, and a green, sacrifice a Saproling, return Slimefoot and Squee, and up to one other target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. David, I want to start with you because you love Squee. What do we think of this card?
I mean, I love Squee because I love Food Chain, and Squee and Food Chain are best friends. This version of Squee is not best friends with Food Chain.
It's a different play style, but I think it's equally not. Sorry, I think it's pretty strong though
Why?
because it's got very reliable recursion,
It does if you let your commander go to the graveyard.
which you will be. You'll probably not put this back in the graveyard, or you won't be putting this one in your command zone. This will be living when it dies in the graveyard, in my opinion.
That's true. You're always going to be evading commander tax if you do that. You're going to
As long as you have Saprolings.
1 extra. Yeah, as long as you have Saprolings. Granted, there is different ways to make Saprolings, not just this card, which would be pretty cool.
I mean, like, yeah, it's cool. It's got the reanimation stuff going for it. You don't, like, you can grab another creature whenever you reanimate it. I do think that this is kind of a weird card, though, because if your opponent board wipes, you're losing your Saprolings. So do you want this to go to the graveyard in that case?
I guess only if you have another way in your hand or in the horizon to make a Saproling, but yeah, probably not. If they get rid of your way to recur this card, then you're most likely going to send it. You're right, to the command zone.
I just feel like it's a cool card, and I like the strategy here. It's just I feel like a little bit too slow, and then also requires that setup. I love the recursion aspect on this card. I really do. And I also love the fact that it's in Jund for only 3 mana. So that's another huge plus. I just think this is another card that's like really going to telegraph what your play is, and your opponents have every opportunity to play around that.
I just like to say that Fungus Goblin sounds awesome.
I always just like to say that Fungus Goblin is the coolest part about this card.
Wow.
Don't like it, huh?
It's mediocre.
But I mean, like, you can sack and like you can use this as a sack reanimator deck. It's in Jund. You can go and find what other big beaters that you want and throw those into the graveyard, and then just be able to reanimate it, assuming that you've also let your commander go to the graveyard and you have a Saproling.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of cards. There's 85 cards that say Saproling on it. So you can get them going. Saproling Tribal. Who'd have thought, huh?
Yeah, but then I'm not wanting to I don't want to reanimate Saprolings. I want to reanimate like big demons and dragons and beaters and stuff like that. Cards that are actually going to win me a game.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying there's cards that say the word Saproling on them, 85 of them. So it's just like creating Saprolings. Doesn't have to necessarily be Saproling. But let's move on to the grades. David, what are you giving it?
I'm going to give it a C just because like it does have the potential to be high impact, but it does require a massive amount of setup.
This is like where I wish we had a high, like a way to do a higher C. Like this is a C, but it's a high C for me, so it's still a C.
Yep, C for me too.
It's going to be a D for me, big dog.
Slimefoot and Squee gets the average grade of a C. Next up, Thalia and the Gitrog monster. It is 1, a white, a black, and a green for a 4/4 legendary creature human frog horror. It's got first strike and death touch. It says you may play an additional land on each of your turns, and creatures in non-basic lands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. And whenever Thalia and the Gitrog monster attacks, sacrifice a creature or land, then draw a card. David, I'm starting with you. You built this deck. What do we think about it?
She is so much fun, and I still really don't know what she does. I know that this deck is one of the most enjoyable experiences that I've had playing Magic because she does so much, but she's in so many different directions. You want to be in lands, you want to be in sack, you want to be in taxing down your opponents, and she does a little bit of each of those, which is great. Plus, she's amazing at combat. So, I don't know. I love this card. It's not really great at anything, but it's good at a lot.
It is good at a lot. The first strike and death touch just alone makes it good.
There is one thing this card succeeds better at than most, and that would be with anything with land destruction.
Oh yeah, Wasteland and Strip Mine. You can definitely really have a lot of fun with in this deck.
You have this in paper, don't you, David?
I do. Well,
I thought we played against this.
I've played against this one with you guys online, and then this is a
Okay.
deck that I will be getting in paper soon.
Got it. I remember you playing this, and I remember not having a good time against it.
Very powerful. I like this card a lot. I think this was a good team up. Obviously, this was the first card they showed when they were doing spoiler season. It was a very good one to show because this is one of the better ones. Do you have anything to add, Shane?
No, I really don't. I feel like everything was touched on. David did it best. David's the man.
I think good card good here, huh, guys?
Yeah, that's what mainly happens.
Let's move on. Let's move on to the grades, Dave.
I'm gonna give it a B. I can't give it an A because I don't know how you exploit this thing, but it's just so good at so many things that it's at least a B.
It's gonna be a B from me too.
Oh, I'm gonna be on the B train.
B.
Look at that, guys. We're all on board. Thalia and the Gitrog monster. The average grade here is a B. And if you guys wanted to see Thalia and the Gitrog monster in a complete deck tech, we have one on the channel. Check the description down below. You'll find that. David created a good one. Speaking of creating a good one, Yargle and Multani. It is 3, 2 black, and a green for an 18/6 legendary creature, frog spirit elemental. That's it. No more text.
Wait, there's more
David.
text on there.
Yeah, there's flavor text.
Yeah, I know.
David also created this deck. What do we say about this one, David?
This, I know I just said that the last one was the most fun I've had in a very long time. This one is more fun. I don't know. It's just something that brings out this childish joy in me whenever you play a creature with 18 power and you watch the rest of the table just sit around in fear of where this thing is going to go. Because realistically, I mean, you build this deck, it draws a ton of cards, and all it takes is a little bit of a pump for this to just be a one-shot.
I will contest to that, David. This deck, I thought it originally was a meme, and I'm like, cool, dude, vanilla, whatever. Nah, this deck was very, very much real, and I was scared of it.
Yeah, this deck pops off very quickly. An 18/6. I mean, no abilities, but an 18/6 commander damage is 21 and you're dead. 18 of it is already there.
I think we even tried to kill this thing a bunch, and David had no problem bringing it back every time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's in black-green. The deck ramps like a champ, and then there's so many ways to protect it once it's in play.
I know, it I don't know, you think out loud going, oh, there's so many downsides to this, it can never work, but it works almost too easy.
I do want to say, though, I don't think this card's actually vanilla. If you read between the lines in there somewhere, one of the abilities on this card is it says it inspires fear in your opponents.
Mm. So that's what you're saying. It's giving fear to your opponents. That's the
Yeah.
ability.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's an 18/6 with no other abilities. You build around it to give it trample and pump it.
Let's move on to the grades. Dave, what are you giving Yargle and Multani?
It's probably not, but I'm going to give it an A just because this has earned a special place in my heart. This card is so much fun.
I don't know if I can give it an A, but I will give it a B. This is a very powerful card.
I was going to say the exact same thing. It's a B for me. I can't do A.
I'm going to give it a C.
Wow.
He hasn't seen the way, dude.
I mean, what, man? It's a listen. It's a meme, and I love memes. But at the end of the day, there's no extra text other than the flavor text, and you just hope that nobody has removal.
All right, it's confirmed, dude. Next time we play, I
Yeah,
gotta
he has
beat
to
the
see
shit
it.
out of Steven
He
with the
has to see
meme,
it.
dude.
Yeah.
Do it, man. I mean, shit. I'll bring my meme deck. We'll meme off.
Well, Yargle and Multani gets an average grade. At the end of the day, is going to be a B. And if you guys wanted to see this deck tech as well, also in the description, David made this Yargle and Multani super mean. Check it out. Next up, Zimone and Dina. Zimone and Dina is black, green, blue for a 3/4 legendary creature human dryad. It says whenever you draw your second card each turn, target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Has another ability where you can tap it, sacrifice another creature to draw a card. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you control 8 or more lands, repeat this process once.
it's cool that it has an ability that I guess will help you trigger that top half, but is it good enough? I don't know. I don't think so.
This card's good. It's just really slow.
Yeah.
I don't think this card is very good at all. If you draw your second card, which only happens once a turn, you're making one person lose 2 life and gain 2 life. Is that enough in EDH? I don't think so.
I mean, this with Heuristic Study is 8 damage per turn cycle.
Okay, if you're just hitting one person, yeah.
And I mean, why not?
That poor person you're targeting is going to be so pissed.
Yeah, that poor person's coming straight after you. Maybe the table will turn on you for being a bully.
Or maybe the table will understand that the person I'm hitting deserves to die.
Maybe.
I'm
Sacking
Power
creatures
Hunter,
to
dude.
draw a card is interesting. Putting a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tap to ramp and then ramping again? It'll always trigger the second time if you have 8 or more as soon as you hit that 8 threshold.
I mean, I love this. I love that 8th threshold just because of, lands like Field of the Dead. I think that's really cool. The sacrifice another creature, to be quite honest with you, I've seen this card played a lot with Bloodghast. The landfall trigger just brings it back from the graveyard to the battlefield. So you were constantly having sacrifice fodder. So I think this card is super strong. My issue is just it's really, really slow. That is really what's stopping this card from being amazing in my mind.
You make a good point there, Steven.
Poor slow aristocrats, dude.
I can't really contribute. I think Steven and I are on the same page.
Whoa. Let's move on to the grades. Steven, what do you give it?
Unfortunately, I'm going to give this card a C.
Unfortunately, I agree with you. It is a C.
Fortunately, I do agree. It's a C.
I don't know if I'm fortunate or unfortunate, but this is a C as well.
Indubitably.
On the same page, once again, Zimone and Dina. Average grade of a C.
Zimone and Pumbaa.
And the final card we're talking about today is one last team up. This is Zurgo and Ojutai. Zurgo and Ojutai is 2, a blue, a red, and a white for a 4/4 legendary creature Orc Dragon. It's got flying and haste. It says Zurgo and Ojutai has hexproof as long as it enters the battlefield this turn, and whenever one or more dragons you control deal combat damage to a player or battle, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. You may return one of those dragons to its owner's hand. I am a big fan of this card.
Are you?
Go on.
This card comes down 5 mana, attacks immediately. You can put it back in your hand. It has that hexproof the turn it comes down, and you can just keep playing it. If it gets countered, maybe you can play a counterward because it's blue as well. But as long as it's on the battlefield, it can't get targeted the turn it came down.
Cool. So all I'm hearing when you talk is, hey, I'm going to spend my entire turn spending 5 mana to make sure I hit you for at least 4.
Mhm.
And then hope I find enough mana to do something else later.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
Hey, we know that Hunter loves playing his commander over and over. So there's
Good
that.
one.
I'm actually with Hunter on this. I think this card is very good. So, like what Hunter mentioned, I mean, yeah, the card obviously it's got some pretty decent abilities on there too. But like you're brainstorming when your dragon connects, and like being able to bounce this thing back into your hand is really powerful. This means that you can like play around your own board wipes. So like you draw into a board wipe. Okay, well, you know what? That's a relevant thing that I needed. Okay, well, let me go ahead and put my dragon back in my hand. That way, it only like costs 5. I'm dodging commander tax on this. Like you're saying that this is gonna like take up people's turns. I look at it as like this is saving me mana over the course of the game. Oh, it's helping me draw too.
You're not wrong. You can have things that care about dragon ETBs. I know there's a lot of like, oh, when a dragon enters the battlefield, this happens. That could be
Yeah.
cool with this.
Plus, like you could always just like flicker this thing too. So like flicker it, it'll ETB, and then boom, it's got hexproof. Your opponent's removal is not relevant.
David, you actually made some really good points. I still don't agree.
You make good points, but they're wrong points still. Let's move
Yeah.
on to the final grades for Zurgo and Ojutai. I'll start. This is going to be a B from me.
This is going to be a C for me, Hunter.
Yeah, this is going to be a C for me. think it's good, but it's not great.
Well, I'm going to wrap this up with a C as well.
Well, the average grade here for Zurgo and Ojutai is going to be a C. And that is going to do it for our commander grades for all of the multicolored legendary creatures from March of the Machine. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. What are you waiting for? Continue to follow along. Speaking of following along, check the description where you'll find our links to our Twitter, our Instagram, and our TikTok. That's at Guys That Magic for each. Follow us on those too. Also, don't forget to comment down below where you can agree with us on our grades. Maybe you'll disagree. Let us know in the comments section below. And until the next video, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Later.
Bye-bye.